All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my day one first impressions of the new season, season 17, whether or not it's worth buying, worth playing, worth grinding, and I like to give things as unbiased as possible. I've been playing this game for 7 years. I've experienced the highs, the lows, and everything in between, but I really like to bring an unbiased opinion, and I have a lot of good things to say about this season. I know there's obviously a lot of negativity out there. I think people love to be negative out there on social media, but this season is a good season for Bungie, and I also think that this season serves almost as like a cornerstone for what you can expect from Destiny in the future. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending upon how much you love the time investment that you put into Destiny. And the reason why I say this is a cornerstone to that is because there's a lot of content drip throughout this season, and there's a lot of small little things that to get you excited. But there's not like that those big, huge, flashy things that we often look for, especially in the past with Destiny, like a ton of crazy new exotics that just totally break the game or make you like go crazy over them or make you have to use them and stuff like that. I don't see a whole lot of that happening at this point in time. I mean, we're one day deep, so give it some time. Give Cheese Forever a little bit of time to find some things, right? But starting from the beginning, let's go with chronological order. We've got no error codes right at the start, which is nice. We're able to get in the game in a timely manner. It took me like 3 minutes to get in the game, which was awesome. You may or may not have had the exact same experience. Let me know down in the comments below how long it took you to get into the game. The story was all right. I'm actually have been really enjoying the story as someone that previously was like a PvP meathead for so many years. I've, in the past few years, have become a little more cultured and have enjoyed the lore and story of Destiny 2. And the story seems to be pretty interesting. I like Kaitel's involvement with everything, and I'm excited to see where the weeks go on and on and on. We have Crow and Amanda having a weird little drama, and we'll see what the end resolution is of that. Along with this, we have the 6-man matchmade activity, which is surprisingly really good. I really enjoyed this. Obviously, it's on an old destination, the Leviathan. I think for some reason people were complaining about that, like, oh man, we don't want the Leviathan back. Bungie with the recycled content. I couldn't disagree more. I think that the Leviathan is an excellent destination place. The changes made to it added just enough spice and variety. It's been a long time since we've been raiding and doing any activities within the Leviathan, so I'm for it. I didn't mind it at all. I had a good time being on the Leviathan again. Let me know if you feel like Bungie is just recycling content with this, though, and that they need to be a little more creative. I can see where that comes from, and that will lead me to one of my later points where we're talking about the Trespasser. But before we get there, we're going to talk about Solar 3.0 is great. Solar 3.0 is great. It's not jaw-dropping like Void 3.0. Void 3.0 also brought a whole slew of other problems and a whole variety of things that needed to get nerfed and adjusted. Bungie sort of knowingly realized that and delivered Solar 3.0 in a way that seems to be pretty fair and balanced. Obviously, there's still a few fragments that they haven't quite unlocked yet, and those are actually some of the most powerful fragments. Will probably create some of the craziest builds. Probably going to delay that till after the dungeons launch, which I'm not exactly sure why they're doing that, but a few of them are locked out. Keep that in mind. So we don't have the whole plethora of Solar 3.0 builds just yet, but they soon will be here, and I imagine they will be pretty good and pretty strong from the looks of it. So keep that in mind. Let me know if you agree or disagree about Solar 3.0 in the comments. And then we're going to move on to Trespasser. All right, Trespasser is your seasonal exotic. An interesting choice from Bungie to use a reprised exotic as the seasonal exotic. I was not expecting that from them, but again, this is like I'm saying, the cornerstone to the future of Destiny 2, which is a lot of taking things that are old and remaking them, making them new, revamping them, reusing old assets, trying to spice things up just enough. I feel like Destiny has sort of like experimented with trying so many new things. There's only so many different ways to shoot a gun inside the game, right? You've got full auto and single fire and burst fire and so on and so forth. And then we have every weapon in between at this point in time. So I feel like we have to, reuse some of those old assets, and I'm not too upset by it. But of course, I would like for Bungie to have the craziest creativity and come up with something new. But we know that the process to do that is extremely expensive and is not always an option for every single new season. So I'm not too disappointed with the Trespasser. I will say is not necessarily the exotic that gets me rock hard thinking about it. But we'll move on to the next part, which is the Iron Banner new map. We have a new map, new Crucible map. Finally, it's been 3 years. We've been waiting for this new PvP map, and doesn't seem that great to me. Unfortunately, this probably has to be one of the more negative things I say. I think some people are really liking it for some reason. I haven't played an actual proper PvP match on it. I just went to a private match, was roaming around, was like, this map's huge. This seems awkward. It's gonna be weird. This is the Trials map. It's gonna be terrible. It'll probably play out just fine for Iron Banner. I'm not gonna mind it too much for that, but overall, doesn't really impress me. I think that Destiny plays a lot better on like a mid-ranged map, on a mid to small size map. That is because it's just meant to be chaotic and not as strategic and not as sitting in the back with bows and snipers and such. So I think that the new map is mid, in my opinion. You can agree or disagree in the comments if you love it or not. Along with that, we have, I believe, 29 new slash reprised legendary weapons. So a whole slew of god roll weapons to chase for. I've looked at a handful of them at this point, or maybe about half of them at this point, and some of them have some pretty promising god rolls and rolls that are worth chasing. You know, that little carrot on the stick that you want to chase for, something that shifts your overall build and helps you, you know, achieve end game content and stuff that's, you know, sandbox defining for this season. I will be making some videos on those weapons, but in the meantime, you know, I'll just say that there's a few that seem to be pretty interesting. Certainly not like all 29 of them are like jaw dropping, which is kind of expected at this point. Things that we have not yet experienced that's hard to make a judgment call on just yet. We have the dungeon's arrival. That could be a make or break. We'll see how epic the new dungeon is. I'm expecting something more along the lines of Vow of the Disciple, where it was like, it was good, it wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't like the craziest experience yet. I hope Bungie proves me wrong, and I hope we get something more like we had like the Whisper of the Worm dungeon and stuff like that, the Outbreak perfected dungeon. Those were crazy good. Hopefully Bungie blows this one out of the park and makes a really, really good dungeon and not more like a lackluster one, but that's to be determined, you know. Can't base this on that until that comes out. That comes out this Friday. And then we have Iron Banner 3 Iron Banner coming out and the whole revamp of that. And then along with that we have Trials. Okay, so that'll be interesting to see how Trials plays out with all the new PvP sandbox changes going along with that. The sandbox is certainly shifting in a better direction with these changes, so whether or not that's a more balanced direction, whether or not that's a more fun direction, is going to be, you know, a very opinionated thing, and I'm sure people will sound off in the comments about the PvP sandbox. The raid rotator is a good idea, and I'm excited to see how that plays out week by week. My overall first impressions, though, are where's the content? You know, like, it doesn't really feel like there's a whole lot to do. Like, I'm like, what do I need to do? Like, I beat the 2 quests really early on. I pay attention to the story, and I'm just sort of farming this activity, kind of waiting already. And I know I have a lot of free time compared to a lot of others because, you know, content creator and all that. But I think a lot of us choose to, you know, dive in and sink our teeth into something right at the start, and we don't quite have that yet. Perhaps that's because the dungeon isn't arrived, and I guess we just have to wait and bide our time until Friday, and then I think that's when we can make the real judgment call on whether or not this season is a truly successful season. But so far, I would say so good from Bungie. I think they're doing an okay job, and I think that this is, like I said, kind of the things you're going to expect from a Destiny 2 season, so on and so forth from this point on, because I feel like this is a good, well-rounded balance to a variety of different things, touching on all the little different topics that Bungie needs to touch on. PvP here, sandbox there, new weapons here, god rolls there, group activities here, all these little things that need to be touched on, new exotics and stuff. They seem to be doing a good job of touching all the little things in this season, so I think that overall I'm going to give it a good rating right now. But again, we're going to base it entirely after the dungeon. So that's going to be a wrap on this video, though. Let me know your thoughts if you agree or disagree with my opinions on the new season, and smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.